Hey guys, welcome back to the 1v1 podcast. I'm your host Vlhadus, and today, well actually, before I mention my guest real quick, I just want to give a shout out to all my subscribers that have been subscribing recently. It's been such an outpouring of support and just awesome comments, and I cannot believe I'm already over 400 subs. It's been such a crazy journey these past couple of months, and I'm so glad I can bring you this kind of content because I actually really enjoy this 1v1 podcast. I enjoy the guests that I bring on and talk to, especially getting to know the Ashes community. It's just been such a blessing, and it's all provided for because of you guys. So I want to introduce my guest. Obviously, it's Grimm. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just living life, loving what I do.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm so glad that you reached out to me because I try to reach out to so many content creators, and there's some that reach out to me back. There's some that don't, but it's also super hard to find content creators on YouTube. And I specifically research, I'll type in Ashes of Creation and try to find content from content creators that maybe have less than 100 subs, less than 50 subs. And it's so hard until the algorithm just pops something on my homepage. And I remember I saw actually in the Discord, not even on my algorithm page, but just on the Ashes of Creation Discord, that you posted a video. I was like, oh, who's this dude? I haven't heard of him. And so yeah. I'm really glad you did that, man, because honestly, to get exposure, especially in the Ashes community, especially because it's not popping right now, it's hard. So I totally get that. But my first question I want to ask you is, why did you want to get started into developing Ashes of Creation content? I'm just curious.
Honestly, man, I'm a bit of a masochist, I think. So
I think I am too.
This would be the perfect time.
Right.
Right. For real, it's just a game that I've liked since about the end of 2019. I seen an interview with Steven, and I was like, this guy is literally saying every single thing that I want in an MMO, because
right.
I mean, like he even says, we've all been burned, right? And
yes,
the fact that he does not have any backing from CEOs or bigger companies, they're producing it themselves. They actually have the opportunity to take what he wanted,
right,
the reason he got into developing a game, and actually just stick to it, which I find just amazing, absolutely amazing.
And so because I think Steven has always been the cornerstone of, I think, a lot of the content creators, I mean myself included, of why I wanted to make Ashes of Creation content. And with all of its recent unveilings and stuff like that, I'm sure, so when did you make your first video for Ashes of Creation?
This past month.
Right. Okay, so you are new, because I was like, this guy has to be new. Because yeah, I love this is because, I always love talking to people with new perspectives on the game. So before we actually even dive into Ashes of Creation, because you are new to the whole Ashes community and the Ashes space, what's your gaming history like? What MMOs have you played? What was your addiction for many years?
Oh man. So for me, I've always wanted to really get into playing MMOs. I think the first one I actually touched was RuneScape, and then right around the same time was also WoW. But after WoW started getting bigger, this was back in 2005, 6. Yeah, geez, that was ages ago. I think I was 15.
Right.
Yeah, I'm 32 now. I'm now starting to realize how old I am. But
35. I'm 35.
Oh, well, then exactly. But I started playing them, and I would, play for a few hours a day and then get off. And by the time I get back on, everybody that I had met the day previously was, I don't know, 20 levels ahead of me. So then I'd end up having to meet new people to play. I enjoy playing games with other people, which is part of the reason why I like the idea of MMOs. And one of the real reasons I like Ashes so much is because of their whole shtick of, you're going to have to work with people. I like that.
What a concept.
I absolutely love that.
What a concept.
I know, right?
In today's
massive multiplayer game.
I know.
And you play by yourself.
Right. It's just so weird. I don't know. I prefer the massive multiplayer online where I don't have to integrate with anybody and I can just do dailies all day by myself in this self-isolation containment game.
Yeah.
I know. I totally get that. And I think that's why a lot of people that I talk to really like the idea of Ashes, is because this is going to be centered around group gameplay. And I think back in the day, group gameplay was a challenge, because, you know, not even for antisocial dynamics, but because we hadn't got social. We didn't, I mean, back in 2005, there was no social media. Internet is very much still was in its infancy. I think it's still in its infancy now. Like, I think internet's like a teenager, you know, back then when it was like a baby. So group gameplay and actually finding guilds or people to play with, like you were just in trade chat, just trying to hit up people. But now in 2022, you have Discord, you have forums, you have like so many ways to meet people, that there's no excuse why now our content for MMOs shouldn't be more group based, because it's just so easy to find people. So no, I totally get that. I actually really respect that. I played WoW for 15 years. So so you were a huge like RuneScape player, right?
I wouldn't say huge. Like, I had a friend, probably my best friend in the entire world. Like, I still talk to him to this day. We used to get on there, and maybe because we were so young, we would just troll people. Like, not in a bad way.
Right.
It's like we would literally start following people out into the woods, and there was like this huge thing with people, like getting people to go in the woods and attack them. What we would do is we would get them to go in the woods and be like, hey, you're going to take this stuff from us right now. You're going to take our stuff and you're going to like it.
That's awesome.
And we would give them like random things. Like, I remember giving somebody an egg. Not that they needed an egg. I didn't need it, so I gave it to them. I didn't want the egg anymore, so it was theirs. And that's what we did. Like, we were always just like jokesters, man. Yeah.
No, that's cool. I mean, so now going into 2022, like, what games have you played recently? Like, did you play Lost Ark at all? Did you play like Elden Ring? Did you, like, what MMO are you playing? Any current MMOs right now?
On and off, I'm playing Mortal Online 2. I'm kind of waiting for content. I did not really get into Lost Ark. I did get into New World, and I ended up rushing through that. Got the 60 because I was trying to keep up with everybody in the guild. Girlfriend was mad at me. She was like 10 levels behind me, and she was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I got this game to play with you. And I'm like, yes, but babe, the guild members, I got to keep up with them so I can do dungeons with them. They need me.
Right.
Yeah. So I got into that, played until 60, and then I don't know. That New World kind of fell off for me. And then Lost Ark, I started watching videos for it, and I was just like, this, for me, it feels somewhat like a mobile game. Like, there's a bunch of Korean mobile
You're not wrong.
MMOs.
You're not wrong.
I know. It looks so much like a mobile game. I just like, I can't get into it. And then I started watching like content on it, and I realized, this is very much just that single player experience again. So then I got into Mortal Online 2. And that game really stuck its neck out there. And it's like a small dev team, but there's this, the thing I really like about it is it doesn't hold your hand. Like, you can watch content videos on it all day, but a lot of the bigger crafters in that game, they don't give up their recipes. And if they don't give up their recipes, the only way you're going to be able to find recipes for like, a really good health potion is by going and talking to somebody who actually is selling it on the market. And that is the only way you're going to get that specific health potion. There's like less than 2% of the recipes found for on that game. They do not hold your hand at all. And I was like, this is an amazing thing. But the problem is they're a very small dev team that is taking on this massive job that honestly it's just going to take a very long time for them to put things out.
So, I mean, and I always kind of mention Mortal Online because if you look at the Steam charts, right, there's literally less than like, I want to say like 10,000 people playing, or 20,000. I could be wrong, but there's very, very small fraction of people playing Mortal Online 2. And the thing about that bothers me is, again, there's probably other problems that Mortal Online 2 has, but it is a hardcore PvP MMO. It's not it's not third person, but it's first person. So that's one thing. It's action combat. It's basically similar to like, Elder Scrolls, not yet, not Elder Scrolls, but like the old first person Elder Scrolls game. I can't.
Yes.
But you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I played it a few times.
Right. So I mean, and that's the thing. Like I've been having so many talks to a lot of other content creators about trying to get into the middle ground between hardcore and casual. So, you know, let's sort of open up now and talk about Ashes, because I'm really curious to know, like, so let me ask you this. Are you a very hardcore, like, PvP person? Do you like PvP? Is that like what gets you excited?
See, I like it. I have such an eclectic, like, taste in pretty much anything, music, video games.
Right.
There's going to be days where I'm just like, we're going to attack this group and we're going to do it. And it doesn't matter if we win, because that doesn't matter to me. Mm-hmm. The whole like fun of it is for me to go and try. But then there's days where, you know, I just want to take my necromancer who runs a restaurant selling very interesting foods to people, and I want to go and sit in my tavern and make those interesting foods and serve people. And that is what I want to do today. So I kind of go back and forth with it, which is, I like the whole PvX feel of Ashes for that reason, because it's going to give you the ability to do that and also PvE.
Right. And again, a lot of the casual friends that I have, and I am myself, I don't consider myself a casual because I want to min-max. I will research. I want to be the best player that I possibly can. A casual doesn't do that. A casual just logs in and they'll basically look up the game, like, or see the game for what it is. And if the game has any tutorials, they'll look at it, of course. If it doesn't, then they might feel lost. They might feel a little alienated. But I just think, again, for Ashes to be sustainable as a long-term product and not just as a game that comes out and then swiftly dies, like, let's say, Wildstar. Wildstar was a game a lot of people were excited about. It catered very much to the hardcore crowd, and it died just as quickly. And many people can say, well, there was other problems with Wildstar. Well, of course, there's problems, I think, with every MMO.
Oh, but absolutely is.
But at its base level, it still died. And again, I think even more so for Ashes of Creation at the fact that Intrepid Studios is an indie company. It's literally a startup company. And it's not like a AAA studio like Activision Blizzard or Bethesda or, you name the studio. They can afford to say, oh, damn, we lost millions of dollars. Well, on to the next one. This is it for Intrepid. This is if this fails, like, Intrepid's just done. So I don't think, and this is just my opinion, that Intrepid should cater completely to the hardcore crowd. But I also think at the same time, you shouldn't cater completely to the casual gamer either. There needs to be a very healthy balance of risk versus reward. And because I think at its center, that's very important. So in your opinion, like with the corruption system or the things that you've researched about Ashes of Creation, do you think it still leans towards the hardcore crowd?
I think what they're trying to do is have aspects of both and kind of get people out of their comfort zones, like show people who are very much into PvP, like, hey, you don't necessarily have to do this to have fun, but also show people who just want a PvE to, like, it's okay to attack somebody, especially with the corruption system. So if you're somebody who's not attacking somebody, you get attacked and you do not defend, you just die, you're actually going to feel it a lot worse than you would if you defend yourself.
Right.
If you actually take a look at the corruption system and what it does, people who are combatants take less.
Right.
So I think with that system and the place it is right now, whether it's perfect or not, I'm not going to say it's perfect because it very well could not be. I know in Alpha 1 it wasn't perfect.
Right.
But if you just defend yourself, guess what? You're not going to feel much pain from dying. So I think it's going to get people out of their comfort zone. And maybe when they finally get that first kill, like they're just out chopping wood and somebody comes up to try to steal their wood and they turn around and just kill somebody with that axe for the first time and they get that bloodlust, they're going to be like, that was great. I just kicked that dude's butt.
Right.
I don't know if we can swear, but
no, it's all good. But I mean, at the same time, like, I look at Elden Ring, right? 12 million people bought that game.
Yeah,
but if you hardcore game, and the whole thing with it is it's not going to babysit you. And I don't expect it to, because again, most people that want to treat those games seriously will just look up a guide online and see what's the best route, how can I level efficiently, whatever the case is. But, and again, I'm not saying that Ashes can't be hardcore. I do want hardcore aspects. But again, Elden Ring is not an MMO.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
And that's the big thing I try to tell people. It's not an MMO. It's a total single player experience with a great open world. You know what I mean? And all I'm saying is that as soon as other people get involved, that's when people tend to have issues. And so all I'm trying to say is, do I want to advocate for hardcore principles? Absolutely. Do I want XP debt in the game? Absolutely not. I think that's an archaic design. I think there's other ways to do in order for to have death matter. And I know Steven talks about that, but again, I asked a question that didn't get answered in the live stream about what principles is Intrepid willing to bend on? Like, what hardcore principles are you willing to say, we're willing to take a look at this to see what the community thinks? Because I think there are other things that are completely off the table, right? Like they're not going to change the node system, right? Like in this round. Well, yeah, exactly, right? So if people are advocating for it, no, that's like something that they're not going to do.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
But at the same time, there has to be things that are worth considering. And because again, I think people just look at these features in rose tinted glasses from back in the day when they were playing Ultima Online or, Dark Age of Camelot, or even Final Fantasy 11. That MMO was actually quite harsh. I quit that MMO in just 3 months because I de-leveled from 30 to 26 in the span of 2.5 hours. So
yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, and de-leveling is not going to be in Ashes, but again, XP. No, I just feel like XP
that is
right. And so they can probably work it to where it doesn't feel as bad. But again, you have players like Asmongold. Do you watch Asmongold at all?
I will every so often. I like a lot of his like short form content videos, like, hey, Asmongold,
right?
Messed up in WoW or something. I do watch that.
No, right. So I just think that it's a lot of the times like there are things that he says that I think are like worth considering, because I think now he used to be a hardcore gamer, but I think now he's become a casual as a streamer. And again, I don't think all of his takes should be taken into consideration, but I think the good majority of the things that he says, a lot of casuals feel that way. So if we alienate the casuals completely, like I think we're going to be in a bad spot financially for Ashes of Creation. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I agree with you 100%.
So I guess to kind of switch it back a little bit, like what do you feel Intrepid needs to do for Alpha 2? Like what things would you like them to like after like looking at the features and seeing everything, like what do you find a little bit of trepidation? Or maybe nothing at all. I don't know, but just I wanted to ask.
Honestly, the only thing, I mean, maybe this is like going a little too like back to what we were just talking about, but the only thing I really see becoming a huge issue for casuals is, like you were mentioning, the XP debt, which for me, the reason I like the system is because I feel like the only way you're going to get people not trolling other people is if you punish the people who are trolling. So I like the fact that it punishes them a lot, but I hate the fact that, if I'm just, doing my own little thing and somebody's going to come up and just start attacking me for no other reason than just to attack me and they kill me, I'm going to lose something from that. Like, I'm okay losing my gear. Mortal Online 2, you die, you lose everything that is on you. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Right.
It did not stop me from going out and actually fighting people.
Right.
It doesn't matter. And especially when you're in a guild, like you have people who can craft, all you have to do is go and collect stuff. And I know it's kind of an annoying thing, but that's punishment enough for me. Mm-hmm. So if they made it so I lost my gear, I'm okay with that. But losing XP when I'm not being a dickhead, for lack of a better term, I don't see why I'm losing that.
And I think those are the things that I want people to understand, is that the whole corruption system is super complex already. There's like diagrams to show you like in what levels.
Yeah.
But if I'm not being a dickhead, I don't want to fight back to you, because if we fight back, or if I fight back, we're both going to be combatants. You're not going to become corrupted. And if I die, I'm not going to lose as much as my stuff, but you're still not corrupted. You're still combatant. So if I want to punish you, that means I also have to punish myself, which I think is very weird, right?
Yeah.
And those are the things that I feel need to be hammered out. Like, those are the things I think once people start feeling in Alpha 2, people are going to be like, yeah, this doesn't feel quite right. You know what I mean? Because,
yeah,
you know,
the issue with that I seen, because I thought of the same thing. I'm like, why not just make it so if some player who's a non-combatant attacks another non-combatant, they immediately become corrupted because they're attacking a non-combatant? But that wouldn't make sense,
right?
Because then, like, trying to do like go and attack a caravan, you're going to immediately become corrupted. That wouldn't make any sense at all. So how do you fix that?
Right.
Like, how do you make it so you're not being attacked? I mean, you're not attacking somebody and somebody comes and attacks you. How do you make it so they're technically the bad guy? Like, how do you differentiate from somebody who's actually playing the game the way it's meant to be played versus somebody who is not?
Right. I think it's just one of those things that Intrepid's, and I think that's another reason why Alpha 2 is probably not going to come this year. I was so advocating for Alpha 2 to come in the summer.
Oh my God, I wanted it to so bad.
Yeah, I know. I think everybody does. But I think after hearing, like, we're probably not even going to get a combat preview till the summer. Yeah, like now, because I always said this. I said, if Alpha 2 doesn't come this summer like I want to, or like I wanted to, they're not gonna give us Alpha 2 at all this year. What they're going to do is they're going to roll out like the class previews, the ability and talent previews, the profession preview, the artisan, skill tree preview, and then in December announce Alpha 2, just like in December this past year they announced UE5. So the big announcement for December is going to be, hey guys, January Alpha 2, woohoo, so
yeah,
that's
the soonest I ever seen it coming was the end of the year, if anything, which even then was skeptical to me.
Right. So
I mean, it'd be nice if we had some testing.
Well, spot testing apparently. So did you do Alpha 1? Did you test Alpha 1?
I did. I jumped in. I was in for like a few days, but every single time I jumped in, I was immediately attacked because people were like, let's test the combat system. I'm like, no,
right.
Stop.
And I think
just let me play the game.
And I think they turned that off like in the beginning because I think that was an issue. But it was one of those things that again, I think with alphas, people tend to play very unnaturally. So, because they're not going to treat it seriously because they know this is a temporary character. People tend to be more of a dick on alpha servers, especially when there's PvP that can just be willy-nilly into anything. But yeah, like I think there is going to be a lot of weird feedback in Alpha 2 because people are playing unnaturally. And I think there's going to be certain things when people are killing each other all the time and experiencing the dead and everything. They're like, this is going to be terrible, guys. But I honestly feel if they can nail the corruption system in a good level, in the live servers, I don't think people are going to be killing people in the beginning, at least.
Yeah,
all the
I
time.
don't see it. Especially after like what you were saying going on in Alpha 2, people seeing that, they're going to be like, this sucks if you die.
Right.
Which is the whole point of it. But if it's too much, it's...
Yeah, it is too much. But I mean, at the same time, like I know in Alpha 2, the one thing that I'm looking forward to testing the most is probably like the caravans. Caravans to me are, I don't know. There's something about it just is really intriguing and really fun. That and
I love the concept.
Yeah, and
I absolutely love it.
Playing World of Warcraft, if you wanted to mail something, you just mail it. Like, but in Ashes, you can't do that. Like, if you want to actually give herbs to somebody, you have to open trade and trade it to them, or do a caravan because you can't mail mats, across the map.
And I absolutely love that concept, especially for the idea that like, if I want to be like the bad guy,
right,
I can be the bad guy, and I'm actually still playing the game properly. I don't have to be a jerk to somebody. I'm just playing the game. I'm being a bandit.
Right. So that to me is like very, very exciting and stuff. So I guess for you, like becoming a content creator right now, like what was the purpose? I'm just curious, like, because I know we're talking about Ashes of Creation, but this kind of leads into probably my next question is like, if you knew or had the feeling that Alpha 2 wasn't going to come till later on, why didn't you wait? Like, why did you start right now? So
I guess I wanted to get my feet wet in the Ashes community. I did actually start making content for Mortal Online 2, which I got okay views doing that. Like I
Hmm.
1,000 and up, like
Okay.
not the best, like, you know, macro influencer at best.
No, right, for
But
sure.
for me, the whole reason I actually became a content creator was my father. My
Oh, dang.
father, he he found out, like, you know, I wanted to do this, but no, I wasn't making like a ton of money. Like I'm a photographer, videographer, like I can make a good amount of money sometimes, but then there's going to be lulls in you know, customers, because it's just that. And then COVID hit, and I mean, as somebody who does like a face-to-face business, that's pretty much out the window.
Right.
Especially when like a lot of photography, it's like family shoots, and nobody wants to put their kids at risk. And honestly, I don't want your kids sneezing all over me. So, you
True.
know, so there was that. And then my father, he unfortunately he was diagnosed with ALS. He passed away 2 years ago, and
Oh man,
before
I'm
he
so
passed
sorry.
away, he's like, I'm doing this for you. Like, if you think you can do this and you have the ability, then yeah, let's go ahead and get this done for you. So he ended up getting me probably the best PC I could ever ask for. I think I have a 3070, which yeah, he left me the money to do that. So I was like, okay, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and I'm gonna push myself to do it. And when I went to school, I actually learned about SEO, search engine optimization. So like
Wow.
keywords, that kind of thing. I have an understanding of that.
Right.
Google's algorithm is not Google, but YouTube's what's it is Google technically, but YouTube's algorithm is I don't even know if it's actually like something you could really fully grasp. Like you can understand it one day
Nope.
and then it's going to be completely different. It's just I think it's broken, but
It
and it
is.
doesn't like multiple games. What is that? Like
No, right.
if I want to be a gaming content creator, why should I be stuck to one game? It makes no sense.
Right. It's if you look at my channel, I did a couple of videos. I did like, you know, single player MMO video. I did a marriage video. I did, you know, the family summoning video. And then I make, you know, the top 5 reasons why you'll love Ash's creation. Boom, 7,000,
Yep.
you know.
Immediately.
I'm like, and I was doing like 400, 500, you know, maybe 1,000. And then just out of nowhere, oopsie daisy, let's just pop this into the freaking algorithm, into the stratosphere. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, and every content creator, I think, prays for that. You know what I mean? And it's just so weird. But going outside, because we can probably talk like YouTube algorithm and like content creator boring stuff to people, but it is a lot of work. And this is the thing that I knew, because I had a YouTube channel back in 2012 when I was playing WoW, and I got up to about a modest 1.5k subs. Had a couple of videos. I just did hunter guide videos back then, but it's a lot of work. You're a one-man show and you do everything. You know, imagine a movie saying directed by the same person, written by the same person, edited by the same person. It's just like, that's being a YouTube content creator. Like you literally have to do everything yourself. And
until you get to that like majestic, so much money coming in that I'm just going to hire somebody to edit my videos for me.
Right. Because I would love that personally.
Yeah,
I hate
it would be
editing.
nice.
I hate editing. But, you know, going into this next question is I love that. I really like, because again, I came in January, right? I felt like I came in extraordinarily late. I'm like, there's already a lot of Ashes of Creation content creators. Like, what is it that I can do differently than them? What can I bring to the table that probably hasn't been brought before? And honestly, the 1v1 podcasts came because exactly that. I noticed that a lot of the podcasts that were going on for Ashes of Creation were all the same. There was no variation of the everybody had 4 guys or 5 guys on a podcast talking about Ashes, and that was really it. And I'm like, you know, I'm gonna pop on some lo-fi. I'm gonna invite one person, and I'm gonna get to know that one person really well. And, you know, honestly, like I've just been enjoying the hell out of these 1v1s, and I've met so many people because of my, you know, YouTube channel. And, you know, I talk to them on Discord now, like we're good buddies. It's just like, you know, like I think that's the one thing I think people have been wanting for, especially the MMO community, is getting to know other people, you know, broadening your friend circle, you know what I mean? And I think we've been in this bubble of just self-isolation that I'm trying to get, you know, just so many, anybody that wants to talk to me, I'll have a conversation with. And you don't have to be a content creator. I'll talk to just a really passionate MMO player. Like, I don't care. So that's like my biggest advice to you, is just do something that you feel like isn't being provided for in the niche. You know what I mean?
And I'm actually looking for that right now. Actually.
Right. No, exactly. And that's what I was doing too. You know what I mean? And even with my videos about Ashes of Creation, like, I still have tons of work that I feel like I need to do. I'm like, I think we're always our worst critic, but
yeah,
you know, I would tell you this, you know, don't even pay attention to the views. Engage with the audience that goes into your comment section, reply to every single comment, you know, and just be the best person you can be. Because that's what I strive to be.
That's exactly what I do.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, I looked at one of your videos and I definitely saw that. So like I said, I don't want you to get discouraged, because I feel like there's a lot of content creators right now that haven't been doing content for Ashes because they did it all for Alpha 1. Alpha 2 is not going to be out for probably until next year.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are just on the sidelines right now waiting, and that's fine. You know, I know for myself, I just came out with a video recently because I can't do the weekly schedule like I had been, because I'm getting a new job. I have new responsibilities, new time commitment. I have a wife, I have a kid, I have my own personal gaming time. Like, it's just, it can become a lot. So
yeah. I actually find myself like for days trying to come up with something, and I'm just like not really enjoying myself. And I'm just like, you know what?
Right.
I'm not going to do a video this week because of that. Like, right. I gotta actually like take time to, you know, for myself.
No, yeah, and you do. And I think that's like another huge advice I can give you is, I understand that people want to have consistency, but at the same time, you can't burn yourself out, because this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. So, you know, I honestly, like, you know, I saw one video of yours and I really liked it. I was like, I think it's pretty well edited, especially like, is this your very first time doing YouTube content creation?
No, actually,
okay.
Believe it or not, I like a few years back, I actually started doing GTA roleplay videos, like on 5M. Like,
okay.
Dude, I had this crazy character called, man, his name was Jebediah Farrell, okay? And, you know, every time I talked to an officer, you know, he had to mention he was a veteran, okay? Like that. And I had that voice, and people loved it, and I was getting views, but eventually that community just kind of...
Right.
I was in a private server. The server owner loved me. He was a pretty big YouTube creator for that space.
Right.
And he was like always praising me. He was like, you know, if you guys really want to figure out how to do scenes, you know, just talk to him. If you need an idea, talk to Grimm. And I think people were getting mad at me, and they started like throwing my name under the bus for things that were happening on the server that weren't my fault. So I was just like, you know what, man, I gotta take a step back. Like, I got pulled aside by two of the big YouTubers that actually ran it, and they were like, you know, we're hearing all this stuff. And I had one bad night where I was just like, man, I just don't like the way this was. And somebody decided they were gonna record that one instance, and they sent it to them. So then everything that everyone was saying about me all of a sudden became true because of that one instance. And I was just like, look, man, you know, I love you guys, I love what you're doing, but I'm gonna take a step back. So I did.
That sucks, man.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's, you know, some people can be very toxic, and I'm not that person. You know, like, the whole reason I came about, like, my whole origin story for obviously Grimm was I was skateboarding one day and cracked my head on the side of a curb. I was riding too fast. I was stupid, not wearing a helmet. And the first thing I remembered when I woke up was me playing this game with my friends. And we were having this conversation. They all died, and we were going up against this other group of people. And they're like, how's it looking? I'm like, it's obviously looking pretty grim. And we all laughed. So obviously Grimm, like, even though it's a Grim Reaper, it's actually funny. Like, every video I end off with, you know, I hope all you happy little souls out there are going to have a great rest of your day. That is the type of person I am. It's just, I want to be happy. I want to smile. Right. I want to laugh. I'm not really interested in toxicity. And that's one issue with like MMOs, is there's a lot of toxic people.
Really? I did not know that.
Oh my God. Did you not? Like,
no, I did. I did. I mean, it's
surprise to me.
You know, and that's the other thing too, is that like when I became an Ashes of Creation, I'm pretty sure you'll find out too. But I became an Ashes to Creation content creator wanting to like, you know, be friendly and be open to people. And it's like, you got to stay away from this person. You can't talk to this person.
Oh my God.
Don't interact with that other person. And it's like, look, I understand the whole gatekeeping thing. And honestly, like, I don't have ill will towards anybody. Like, I'll talk to anybody. I'll do whatever. My whole thing comes down to, as soon as I start seeing a person degrade someone else, like, I just won't talk to you. Like, I mean, I'm not going to talk crap about you. I'm just going to act like you don't exist. And so for me, I feel like I just want to have people into the Ashes space that have a passion for it. And I think everyone that I've talked to definitely does. Yeah. But, you know, to have the right temperament, you know, because especially when you're doing online stuff, like I knew people are going to make fun of you. You know, people are going to want to talk crap to you. People are going to want to judge you right off the start. Like, honestly, like I am the best person to talk crap about because I'm not going to care. Like, I'll laugh probably whatever joke you want to throw at me, whatever you want to say about my
that actually
face.
makes you the worst person to talk crap about, because people who talk crap about you want that reaction.
No, for sure. You know what I mean? And it's, you know, like it's just one of those things where I just, dude, I'm 35 years old, man. Like, I'm not 18. I'm not in high school passing notes and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've gone beyond all that. So it's like, if people want to start drama, go right ahead. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I'm just not going to partake in it. You know what I mean? So that's like another thing I'd probably tell you. But now you got me intrigued into another topic that I was talking to one of my friends about: role play. Are you going to role play in Ashes? I'm so curious now because you're talking about GTA.
Yes. I think there's going to be a huge there's going to be a huge space for it in Ashes.
Definitely.
Especially with like how you can actually open up an inn and like trade matters. Like,
taverns,
you can be a trader. That's if you want to be a trader, that's all you want to do. Do
a
it.
Traveling
like,
merchant.
There's a video on my YouTube right now of Mortal Online 2 where it's just like a quick few seconds where I'm selling human leather, like sustainably sourced human leather. That's what I was trying to sell. So I was like, would you like to buy some sustainably sourced human leather? They're like, excuse me? They're like, some sustainably sourced human leather. I'm trying to sell some. And they just started laughing. And
that's funny.
That was the greatest thing. Like, I met a lot of just hilarious people just by doing that.
Right.
Like, when I first started doing GTA, I wasn't on what's called a 5M server, which is a mod. I was actually just doing it in GTA Online. I was actually on Xbox, so we didn't even have the ability to mod. So we literally like took outfits from in-game and made like police uniforms, and we had this I had 300 people on a server.
Wow.
Just by doing it. And it was just like this fun little aspect that we were able to do, and we just made up stories, and there was people making full-blown movies about it.
So
like there's
okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, have you ever heard of Mr. Moon?
No, I have not.
You look him up on YouTube. He doesn't make content anymore for some reason, but he always made movies.
Interesting.
Out of his role plays. Like, it was actually like full-blown feature-length films.
That's insane.
Video games just by role playing, and it's not scripted. It's not scripted at all, and I just think it's really funny. Like, it's an interesting.
That's an interesting concept.
Niche.
Yes.
It's a very niche thing, but it's so interesting. It had me perplexed, so I started doing it, and I just had the most fun with it.
That's awesome. And I've never done role play before. You know what I mean? In World of Warcraft, there's like roleplay servers like Moonguard and stuff like that.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
there's some weird ones.
Yeah, there's some weird ones. But I just want to ask you a question. Excuse me. Do you want roleplay servers? Like exclusive roleplay servers?
So it just so happens that I joined this community. When I first got into Ashes, I made like a guild, and it was going to be like light roleplay. That's what I put it as, light roleplay. And I got invited to this space with a bunch of other roleplay guilds, and they're all planning on taking over a server. So it's gonna happen. That's the interesting thing about like role players, is they will actually come together, and they will find like a bunch of people who are like-minded, and they will go and actually build a city. And it's gonna happen. And there's gonna be a whole server of just like roleplay cities. Imagine that. And that's like one nice thing about Ashes, is you can do that.
No, for sure. So answer my question. Do you want official roleplay servers?
Yes and no. I want a place where you can go and you can count on people being there. Like, you know, having fun and just making up stories, because I find that interesting. Like I'm a huge D&D guy, or at least I was. I don't do it much anymore, but the best part about D&D was the stories. It was the stories that you just like were able to create, and you had like these characters that grew with you, which I found was amazing. So I want a place where I can do that. But if it becomes too official, it's gonna scare people away, I think.
And so you kind of answered my question. I don't want official roleplay servers. I think the fact that there's going to be multiple communities across multiple servers, that's going to be so awesome to a person like myself that maybe won't partake in the roleplay, but I'll get to experience it. I'll get to see it. That was the biggest turn on for me when I played Final Fantasy 14. Was I logged into my server and there was a guy in a chicken suit handing out eggs to people, just randomly. And it was the funniest shit I've ever seen. You know, it was just so cool. And I was just like, because we don't see that in WoW. Like, that's just not something that you do in WoW. But I didn't know that, you know, this server had role players on there, but it was just such a great thing. And every time I would log in, I'd always see him in the same place, and he'd be there just dancing, and then he would stop, and then he would just go and open trade with people and give them chicken eggs. And it was just like the funniest thing ever, you know? And you know, but now there's like, you know, a lot of stuff in Final Fantasy where there's like, dude, the role play in Final Fantasy gets pretty deep. Like there's nightclubs, there's like house parties, there's a whole bunch of stuff. And honestly, I hope that Ashes becomes that, but in a medieval magical fantasy kind of way, you know what I mean? Because I just don't want there to be actual sanctioned, like these are the 3 roleplay servers, and then these are all like the regular servers. Like I don't want that, because as a non-roleplay person, I, like you said, if they want to become orchestrated and go all to like one server, that's fine. I can't control that. But if there's multiple roleplay guilds that go into different servers, like that's just going to spread out the roleplay community in a way that I think is beneficial for casual and hardcore players alike, because I just think that's just so funny, you know? And you have like the marches at Moonguard, when they actually really get into it, they have like battalions of people transmogged in the same uniform that are marching together. Like, I just think that's so cool. Like, cause it is. That's just amazing. Something you don't see a lot in MMOs, you know? So
no, like you really don't.
What do you want to do in Ashes of Creation as far as roleplay goes? I'm curious.
So I thought of a couple different things. One of the things that I like got really known for in this one city in Mortal Online 2, which there's only one server for Mortal Online 2. Right. There's only one. So like I became kind of known as the random guy that was just running around trying to sell people brain head soup.
What's
like just like, or head soup, like I would actually go up to there's these race called a Thursor. I would walk up to Thursors, which are these massive like orcs that are just like really good at fighting. And I walk up and I'm like, do you know how to become stronger as a Thursor? You have to eat your brethren. And I would like trade them a head soup, and they could attack me if they wanted to, which I've gotten attacked several times because I was doing this just for the fun of it. And they would either take it and eat it, but a lot of them, when they like caught on that I was just role playing with them, they would act like an orc, a dumb orc. They'd be like, "Oh, I eat brother," and I was like, "Yeah, if you eat your brother, you gain his strength." So they would.
Oh my god!
And it was just
That's
like
crazy.
So I was thinking maybe I'd be a necromancer that would own a bar, and then I would be selling interesting foods, like unique foods
cocktails.
To my region. Yeah. Yes. Or I would be a Vec song caller, so a summoner.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be that, and I would be riding the open seas singing my pirate songs. Like I think that'd be fun too.
Honestly, like that, I'm actually just getting so much more interested in the roleplay aspects, because the only game that I felt like lend itself really well to roleplay was Final Fantasy. I guess in my opinion, people can say WoW, people have been doing it in WoW for a long time, but I just feel like it just caters more towards
MMO wise, definitely Final Fantasy.
And so I really hope with all of the openness that Ashes has, and just the laterality that players are going to have for opening taverns, their own personal housing, guild housing, just everything in general. Like, to me, the role play community, I just don't want them to be isolated somewhere. You know, I want them to be spread out. Like, I want to see all these different factions like across the board.
The issue with a lot of roleplay communities is a lot of them are very closed off. Because
That's true.
people will make fun of, like, people will make fun of you for just,
That's
you know,
stupid,
joking
man.
around and having fun. It is like, let people be what they want to be.
We're all playing the damn same game. Like, why you gotta talk crap?
Don't
You
get
know?
me wrong. There are some things that I just think are kind of taboo, like in roleplay. So there is people who try and roleplay sexual scenes out. That is a little weird to me. Like,
Oh
that
yeah,
goes too
that's
far. That's okay. You can hide that in a server if you want to.
for
Like, by all
sure.
means, hide that somewhere.
Right.
Like, if they're not hurting anybody, if they're just, you know, messing around, joking around with their like character, like I did with Jebediah Farrell, talking like a Southern hick guy. Like,
That's
what's it gonna hurt? What's it gonna hurt? Like,
right.
it doesn't hurt anybody. The only thing that's gonna happen is this guy's gonna do his thing, and you get to go about playing your game. It's not hindering you in any way. But people
True.
are kind of scared of that. It's basically like furries. Like, it's not my thing, but if they're not hurting anybody, like,
Right.
if they just want to dress up in their furry costume and have conventions, knock yourself out. Or bronies,
Right.
people who liked My Little Pony. My best friend that I mentioned before, he was a Marine. Like, he went over, fought in Iraq, and when he came back, I like went over to see him, and he was just sitting on his couch watching My Little Pony. I'm like, you okay, man? Like, why are you watching this? And he's like, dude, this is not a kid's show. And I'm like, are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure it's a kid's show. And he's like, no, just sit down, smoke this, and we'll watch an episode.
Oh my god.
So I sat down, did what he said, and oh my god, I think I kind of understand why. Like, those ponies are mean, man. They are so mean. They pick on each other. They make the worst comments. I understand, but I was on a different level when I understood. So
right. Did he
you know,
convert
people
you
make
to the bronyisms?
not exactly. Like, I can appreciate it. I appreciate why, because I now understand.
Right.
Like, I seen it from that light, but I'm not like a full blown like I need to have a brony sweater kind of guy. Like, I can chuckle at it, but it's the same way that I would chuckle at SpongeBob. You know, like,
True.
there's some things in SpongeBob that I'm just like, okay, I see what you did there. You know,
Right.
like, yeah.
No, I got you. So I guess let's go back to Ashes real quick. So
Yeah.
So now I want to talk about things, because we talked about, like, you know, the negative aspects, or like the things that we're worried about. We talked about, you know, just a whole bunch of stuff. So I really want to talk about now the things that you're like super excited about, the things that actually got you very much onto the idea of Ashes of Creation and even becoming a content creator. So like, what are like the main features that you feel like, or you're just like you're just excited to get into?
So one of the things I hated about a lot of MMOs is, you know, you see one tank, you've seen them all, you know?
Right.
So Ashes, they have this like ability with all of those classes that they're going to have. They have this unique ability that I have yet to really see in an MMO to be unique. So if I want to be a song caller, I can be a song caller, and
Right.
I won't be the same as this other bard, you know, like,
Right.
there's an ability to be different, and that's what I really love. And especially with the servers, like, if I get bored of seeing this one server all the time, I can hop over to a different server and experience a completely different Vera. So
Right.
that to me is just mind-blowing. And I was like, you know what, they're not going to be able to do all this. This is just going to be another one of those MMOs that are just making big promises,
Right.
and they're not going to be able to. But then I was introduced to the enigma that is Stephen Sharif.
Yes.
Like, he has the ability to actually make his creation, like his thought, an actual like thing. Like, he can make this come true because he doesn't have to answer to anybody other than himself and, of course, the community, the backers. But he doesn't have to change his vision for them.
Right.
He'd be like, hey, you know, I would love if you want to support us, but you don't have to. Like, he even tells them not to.
Yeah.
He's like, don't do it. wait until you see what I'm creating, and if it's something that you like, great. Like they have the ability to do it, and the fact that he managed to like get AAA like a AAA dev team, well, not full AAA dev team, but he has people from AAA titles.
Oh, for
like
sure.
They have the ability, and we saw that with the character creator.
Oh,
like from
definitely.
where we were in Alpha 1, which I know that was just kind of a placeholder, but from how far we came to that, like I'm even more of a believer now than I was. I was skeptical before, and I like to keep a healthy level of skepticism.
For sure.
But I'm even more like, I was just like, oh God, like the gamer, like little gamer boy in me that's just seen something. So it took me back to when I first got like my first game console. Like my dad was not like the richest person in the world. He was a single father. So when I first got my first game console, this was like the mind-blowing to me. I started playing Ninja Turtles on an NES, which honestly wasn't the newest game system out at the time in the 90s, but it was my first one. It was mind-blowing. And then I went from that to a PlayStation and Duke Nukem, which I should not have been playing at 8 years old, but I was.
Oh, I was too. Don't worry.
And, like just the difference, it just every step up, like the graphics changed, like it blew my mind. And that character creator took me back to that, and that's the first time, and I gotta say, like 10-12 years that I really got excited. Like I was excited for the idea. I get excited about the idea, but when that idea starts coming to life, like we saw with the character creator, oh my God, I'm even more hooked now.
And I know for me, like the character creator definitely showed the caliber of where they want to hit features wise. And when I heard him say, oh yeah, we want to create a character creator better than Black Desert Online, I'm like, all right, bro, let's chill out for a second.
The only good thing about Black Desert in my mind, but
yeah, I know, me too. I'm not a fan of the game at all. I don't like the button layout. I don't like the the classes or anything like that. It's not my game, and that's fine.
Yeah, it is.
But the character creator is definitely something that is truly freaking amazing. And oh my God, I was enamored with the character creator that Intrepid released. And I think even right now, that character creator is better than MMOs that have been out for over 15 or 10 years. It's insane.
And the fact that they said it was a first pass, I was like,
well, this is technically past 11 probably internally, but this is a first pass for us to see. So this is version 1 for us, probably version 13 for them.
But when he says first pass, that makes me think, okay, there's going to be more added to it, which obviously is going to be with like classes and stuff. But if it changes even more than what it is now, like I can't see where they can go with it. I can see them adding the classes, but I can't see why would you need anything else?
Right. And I'm not really much of a character creator person. Like I honestly I know there are people that want to spend hours, if not days, creating the perfect character. But the one thing I loved about it was in BDO, there's a player created library. So if you want like myself to look badass in like 10 seconds, you can just pick some person's template and then just tweak little like, different hair color here, tattoo there, boom, done. Like I don't have to spend hours on it. Like that to me is like a godsend. And honestly, the fact that you're going to be able to save templates and share them with other people, like that
really
awesome.
Got me excited too. Like I'm the type of person, like I have people in my friend group that likes to theory craft, and they're like, if you do this and this with this class, oh my God, you're going to be unstoppable.
Right.
I am the guy who can sit there and take that theory crafted class and make a character for it. So now we can actually kind of like, you're going to do this and this with your character. Okay, well here, let me take this and give you your character, because I'm the type of person that will spend 3 hours in a character creator.
Right. So I know there are a lot of things that Steven is doing that are very ambitious. And I understand the skepticism for most people. I mean, heck, I always have a healthy dose of skepticism as well. But I think the driving force of why I think many of us believe in this thing is because we've seen the fruits. Like we've seen like the things that they've presented to us. And I really do feel like once we actually see the updated combat, that's going to be game over for a lot of people. I think it's going to be like, wow, okay, so this is at the same level Like we saw the character creator placeholder in Alpha 1. Could you imagine the character created version of combat? Like the scale of how exponentially good it's going to be. And I don't know, like I usually ask this for certain 1v1 people, but are you a tab person or are you an action person? Like what do you prefer more?
I prefer action. I like to be able to like control where I'm swinging. I don't really want to like.
Do you even prefer action for casters?
That,
because I know when most people talk action, they're talking as a melee person, but I'm a healer and I'm mostly a caster, and I do not like action at all for healing.
No, I think
nor for
action
caster.
is definitely more for like a melee. Like I would prefer like a weird combination of the two, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, and that's what Intrepid wants to do, right? To create this high. Did you ever play Guild Wars 2?
I played a little bit. I did not get into it though.
And I completely understand. I've been trying to play it because I'm playing a melee person, because people always talk so highly about the combat system in Guild Wars 2, especially for melee combat. And I think if they were to do what Guild Wars does, is basically just like a tab enhanced version, which is just adding melee abilities that don't need a target. Like you just push buttons and it's going to do like a cone, a swipe. It's going to like pierce through, or whatever the case is, like similar to Lost Ark's combat for certain positional melee reticle things. I think that's fine. I just think that there needs to be, because my whole thing is lag. And action combat in lag, especially with a 500 versus 500 siege happening, and you're there as a ranger trying to
see it failing.
Right. And that's why I always tell people, melee, I completely agree, action is probably the best way to go. Ranged caster or healer, you need tab. I'm sorry, because I'm pretty sure if the ping is at like 190 ms and you're there missing every single time because on your screen it looks good, but the slight lag is causing your arrows to miss every single time, is gonna piss you off. So
especially when you see it hit and you're like, I hit him, but he's not taking damage. Something
my
like
God.
that always gets me. Oh my God.
And so
I got you in the head, damn it.
And you have it on your screen and you have it recorded or whatever.
I literally took a picture of an arrow through somebody's head. I think it was in Red Dead 2. I was just messing around with that with some friends, and they're like, yeah, I don't have that on my screen at all. So I took a screenshot, and they're like, I don't know how I'm alive, but I am.
Right. And I think there are certain things you can do as a ranged caster, like certain charge abilities that are just going to, you don't need to target anything, you just charge it up and you just go point it in the direction you want the ability to go in. I think those abilities are fine. I just think that people want more laterality instead of being pigeonholed into picking a target. And I totally get that. But there are times where you got to pick a target. You know what I mean? There is priority you should do. So I think we need a action enhanced or a tab enhanced version of combat nowadays, compared to just sticking to traditional tab, because I think tab is kind of outdated and boring. All right. Well, so let me see. I wanted to ask a question earlier. We were talking role play, and I was like, oh my God, I want to ask the question, but it's fine.
No, ask away, man.
So let's just wrap this up real quick. So at the end of the day, you became an Ashes of Creation content creator. You love the direction that this game is going. Like, do you believe in Ashes of Creation because of Steven specifically, or do you just, because of what you've seen, you feel like this project is something special? Because I mean, it had to be in order for you to become a content creator for it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Honestly, so I haven't mentioned this yet. I actually worked for Activision Blizzard before it was Activision Blizzard. I was a game tester.
Nice.
And I had this vision of what a gaming company looks like.
Right.
And you got to hide everything. There were certain things that you could not say online. And like even before Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2 was coming out, they gave us copies, but they're like, you have to be offline. You have to be offline when you play this. You cannot show anybody anything. So everything was so tightly held to the chest.
Right.
And then there was also like the whole idea of like the bro culture in gaming companies. So I was there for 2 years, and I was there when they bought Blizzard, and I seen like the downfall, like just the saddened look on people's faces, like when I went into work, because they were like always just like, you know, like everything was very, I don't know how to describe it. It was just like they weren't open. And Intrepid is so open with everything, and they communicate with their fans, and they're like, obviously there's things they're not going to say.
Well,
like that makes sense, right? But just the openness and the feedback that they take from the community, and they actually take it. They actually take the feedback and they look at it, you know, and it, like, obviously they're not going to implement stupid things because they have their vision, but they actually take the feedback and they're like, they listen to people and they respond to people. And, you know, seeing Steven, like the owner of the company, go on people's live streams and just have a conversation, like it's such a humanized, it's not a company to me. Like it's a company, but it's not at the same time, you know? Does that make sense?
Oh no,
like that's what really has
completely.
me believing in Ashes, and the reason I want to make content for it is because they actually are very accepting of their community, which is not something you see ever,
especially in today's day and age. For some reason, a lot of like Bethesda, Activision Blizzard, just everybody, I think the only other company that I can think of at the top of my head is PoE, which is Grinding Gear Games. They are very transparent to their people and actually take feedback and, you know, try to implement it. But other, like when it comes to MMOs, BioWare, like Star Wars, ESO, like all those people just, they don't care. Like, and Blizzard
it's
recently,
more about money.
Yeah, Blizzard recently started caring because they lost a crap ton of people, and that got them to care now. But it wasn't out of sincerity.
Sincerity. It was literally about the wallet.
Correct. And so with Steven and Intrepid, there is definitely like a community-driven pull to make this MMO the best it possibly can be. And I know that's why I became a content creator, because it's just like to be a part of that and to be at the, like, this is to me at the ground level. Like me and you,
it is.
Like, even though we started in 2022, because I started in January, I feel we're still at the ground level. And even though there's been a lot of other content creators for Ashes of Creation, like if you stick with this, like this game could be just as big as World of Warcraft. It could be.
Oh, I see it being a lot bigger, actually.
Well,
like
I
see
hope
it being
so,
on the
but
level
I don't know.
World of Warcraft was before World of Warcraft became what we know World of Warcraft to be now.
I hope so.
I see it being at the level of, you know, classic WoW, their first expansion pack.
Yeah, Burning Crusade.
I see it being at that level. I see it being at that level. And I see it being a game changer too. Like,
oh, for sure. If they can continue
the fact that they're open, like they're open with everything that they're doing, like, and actually seeing success with that, I think that's going to change the way gaming companies look. Like, I see this being the Conor McGregor of like gaming companies. Like, he was completely different. You know, like before when they had like those sit down meetings, people were just like very respectful. Like, yeah, you know, we're going to go out there, you know, I'm going to fight this guy, and that's what it's going to be. But then Conor McGregor comes out just talking all this smack, and just being like just very, very flashy. Yeah. Like, you can do this and actually make a game, and it's not going to completely fail if you do it the right way. You know?
No, I totally get that, man. Well, honestly, Grimm, like this was probably one of the most fun 1v1s I have had in a while. Like this was great, man.
I'm glad, man.
I really appreciate the message on Discord and messaging me. See, guys, it works. He messaged me and he's on 1v1, so it does work. But no, I really do appreciate it, man. Like it was a lot of fun. So if you want to tell people where they can find you, like, do you have Twitter? I'll of course link your YouTube channel, but
honestly, right now I am on YouTube. I kind of stepped away from Twitter for a bit, so I'm not on there. I'm planning on going back at some point, you know, seeing what Elon does with it. You know, let's hope he does something good.
Right.
No, you know, I'm not really much of a social media guy anymore. You know, I'm in my 30s, but YouTube, that's where it's at. You could also find me on TikTok as well, but I'm not posting so much on there because that's another weird little thing. But YouTube, just catch me on YouTube, changing things up. So if there's something you guys want to see, let me know, and we'll see how that goes.
Right. So basically, leave comments in his videos, guys. Go to his video and leave comments.
Yes.
Give him feedback. and let him know how he's doing, man. But again,
Yeah.
such a pleasure talking with you, man. I really hope you enjoyed this. I know
Yeah,
I
it was
did.
really fun, man. If you ever need a guest just last minute, let me know. I'll
All
happily
right.
come on again. I had a lot of fun.
Awesome. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching this 1v1 show. I'm Vlhadus. That's obviously Grimm. And we will see you guys in the next one.